KEET TV presents Homework Hotline, the after-school show that fuses learning with fun. Watch local teachers bring the classroom on air and online. This is Homework Hotline.
Hey, I'm Beth Baker, and I teach math at McKinleyville Middle School in McKinleyville.
And I'm Jody Himango. I teach 7th grade science in McKinleyville.
And we are happy to be with you today, and we're actually going to start. Typically we talk about math and science concepts, but today we're going to start talking about earthquakes for a very good reason.
Thursday is the Great Shakeout, so where California and other states join us in practicing earthquake safety.
And typically in schools during the Great Shakeout at exactly 10:11 or there's always some magical clock time.
It's associated with the date.
Oh, it's the date, right? So at 10:19, whatever
10:15.
10:15, good. I flailed and guessed until she put me on the right track. Usually that's when all the school kids and all the teachers and everyone does a duck and cover and does an earthquake drill at that exact moment. So earthquakes, of course, are not scheduled, but us practicing and being prepared can be scheduled. Yeah.
So we're going to give you a really quick rundown of how earthquakes are measured. So we measure earthquakes in magnitude, and we used to use the Richter scale, but that's not commonly used anymore. Now the USGS, so the US Geological Survey, uses moment magnitude. So that's based on the physical properties of the earthquake using all the waveforms that are generated. And then magnitude is a measurement of the earthquake, the size of the earthquake, no matter what it feels like or what the damage was like, whereas intensity can change based on where you are in relation to the epicenter. So intensity might be measured as greater if you're closer to the earthquake and lesser if you're further away.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I learned about earthquakes is even if two people experience the same earthquake, depending on how prepared you are, the aftermath of the earthquake could be short or long, depending on how ready for it you are. So that was one of the things I learned in some big earthquake training years ago. Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
And I've also noticed when we've had earthquakes at schools, it depends on what people are doing, of the intensity of what they feel. I've been in earthquakes at school where other classrooms duck and covered. In my classroom, we were doing a lab and we didn't even notice.
Yep, I've had that happen too. My first year teaching, I was writing on the board, a chalkboard. It was a while ago. And I turned around and the whole class was gone. And it turns out there had been an earthquake and I hadn't felt it, and the whole class did a perfect duck and cover. And I turned around, I didn't know where they went for a minute. And the kids had to point out that the light fixture was swinging back and forth at the top of the ceiling before I believed them. So it was a perfect duck and cover, except for the teacher who missed it completely.
That happens.
Yeah.
So here's magnitude, like a quick rundown on magnitude. So we have the higher or the lower magnitude earthquakes we have with greater frequency. So between 2.5 to 5.4, they're often felt but causes minor or no damage. So in the 5.5 to the 6, that's when we get slight damage to buildings and other structures. We only have about 500 of those per year. And then 6.1 to 6.9 can cause a lot of damage in populated areas, and we have about 100 of those each year. And then in the 7 to 7.9 range, that's a major earthquake and can cause serious damage. And fortunately, there's only about 20 of those each year.
And is this 20 on the whole globe? On
Yes.
the whole world? Okay, I get it.
And then 8.0 and greater it's a very large earthquake and can destroy communities. And then we get those about one every 5 to 10 years. So not too often.
Right, and it's not that we here in Humboldt County get that every 10 years. It's somewhere on the planet every 10 years there's a really big earthquake. So it's not that we're not predicting that a big one is going to hit here right now or anything.
No, though
Okay.
it could, but.
Yeah.
So on Thursday, we want to talk a little bit more about the do's and don'ts of an earthquake. And here's a very famous picture from an earthquake in 1985 in Mexico City. And what you're looking at there is a school building. And you can see that the floors of the school was not in session at the time. but you can see that the floors of the school were held up by the student desks. So ducking and covering under a sturdy piece of furniture is highly effective in an earthquake. And this is a perfect illustration.
And also our thinking over the years changes. So it could be that what you learned when you were younger, so for example, stand in a doorway or whatever, is as thinking and science changes, the safety rules change also. So for all kinds of natural disasters, it's good to stay current because current thinking might train you to do something different than you did before. So for example, drivers used to be trained when you drive to put your hands here on the steering wheel, and then airbags came along and now drivers are trained to hold on here to a steering wheel. Safety changes over time depending on what we learn and what technology does. So once you learn something safe, you should stay current on what's safe today.
Right. So getting under furniture is the safest, even though a lot of us learned that
I had to look at this picture for a while before I understood that this was like a desk and maybe a chair or something, that we were looking at desks, and you could see if someone was hiding under the desk that the roof wouldn't have fallen on them. So it took me a while to understand that picture when I first looked at it.
Right. Very famous picture. So we're going to look at totally shifting gears here. In the next 2 days, we're going to look at how to build a kite at home. So, and kite technology has been on Earth for a very long time.
Oh.
So humans, they think that the oldest kite ever depicted was in actually a cave painting from 10,000 years ago in Indonesia.
Wow.
And they think that they use them to help them in fishing, which I don't fully understand how. And the Chinese use them in military operations. So there's a famous general who flew a kite over a place that he wanted to invade to determine how far away it was.
Oh, fascinating.
Pretty savvy.
Yeah.
And they've been instrumental in aiding in human flight. So some of the first flight was with kites, and they used to fly. Kites have also been used in military operations to fly humans up to get a bird's eye view of what's going on.
That would have been a brave human.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in England, someone made several kites that would pull his carriage.
Oh, fascinating. So if the prevailing wind is right. And of course, lots of these places have a long history of sailing ships, and so you probably know very much how the wind behaves against a sail.
He was trying to avoid toll on the road.
Oh.
Based on the number of horses that you had.
Oh.
Which is pretty smart. He was, and then we use them in meteorology, and most recently, they're being used to harness wind energy for green power.
Fascinating.
I know.
And then one of the things we loved about kites as our theme for this week is that you can find almost anything at home and start to Google up directions or follow the directions we give you today. And you can start to make kites on your own. And sometimes in fall we get beautiful windy days. So this is a great time to start building kites and then wait for that beautiful windy day to get out there and fly your kite.
Yeah. So September and October generally are very calm, but
there'll be some wind.
Yeah. And we've got some kite math. We're going to build what is known as the familiar diamond kite. And so up here is one of our diamond kites, and Miss Baker was going to tell us about the math of diamond kites.
So typically, and I'll hold this one up. So I made this one last night at the kitchen table with my teenager who laughed hysterically watching me try to get this done. It was more technical than I thought, and I went in a little overconfident. So these things happen. So here we have a beautiful diagram of the components that you want of a kite. There are lots of online sites, so if you get crazy for kites, there's like 27 different kinds, and they're all amazing, probably more than 27. So this particular classic diamond-shaped kite is a quadrilateral, so this happens to be a four-sided kite, this diagram, okay? 2 pairs of equal length sides, and I did do that okay last night. So the 2 top sides are equal in length, and the 2 bottom sides are equal in length to each other. And we have this nice geometry here. That little 1 blue hash mark and 1 blue hash mark means these sides are equal, and the 2 little red hash marks match. So when things match in a geometric drawing, it means they're the same length. It's got a convex shape, which means if I take this and I bend it and make it kind of into a cup shape, you can see it's convex. Okay, so convex is this way. Or concave, it depends on which side of it you're looking at. A concave means that you're looking at something that looks like a cave. Okay, convex means it bows out. So it depends on the viewer. Okay. And then one diagonal is the perpendicular bisector of the other. Ooh, I love talking precisely. This is perfect. So perpendicular means at right angles, and bisector means this line is cut in half. So this line hits at right angles and cuts this one in half. Whoops, I touched it. Would you take me back?
I would.
I just touched the screen. I do this at school all the time. All right. And then horizontal mirror symmetry is the same that humans have. So if you took my outline and folded me in half, my outline would fit. Not internal organs, but the outside stuff.
And we're going to use that when we build our kite.
Okay, good. And so if we folded this left to right, it would fit onto itself. So that's a perpendicular, or that's a horizontal mirror symmetry. And then the tail should be 3 to 8 times longer than the kite for stability. And I don't think mine is anywhere close to that. Mine's about 1.3 times longer. Okay, so my kite, I did not make the tail long enough either. So that's what happens when you start off a little overconfident. The kitchen table was covered in scissored chunks of yarn and old leftover wrapping paper and shish kebab skewers, by the way. I think if we had constructed more carefully, it would have flown, but I think we didn't pay enough attention to the details. So it's not a very fly-y kite.
I think you just need more wind. I think it would fly in more wind.
Maybe we should believe in this little kite and wait for a windy day.
I think so.
Yeah.
That would be my take on the situation.
Yeah.
So when we're building this, we're trying very hard to, I like to say the 5 R's, and that means refuse new products, reduce what you use. So if you have to get something new, then try not to use too much of it. Reuse things that you can, like wrapping paper or yarn. Recycle things when you can. We're going to recycle something today when we build this, and then repair things too. So those are the 5 R's for kind of green engineering. So what we're going to use today is a piece of paper, some tape, and so these are, I'm trying to build a kite that I think most of you would have the things that you need already at home. We're going to use a plastic garbage bag, which is recycled from a science fair project. We need scissors, sharper the better, a ruler, and permanent marker to mark on our bag. And I think I'm going to have Miss Baker here. And we're going to use this website. That's where we found this pattern.
So this comes from mybestkite.com.
And so this is an indoor kite.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of delicate.
Uh-huh.
You can fly it in really low winds. Here's the bag that we're going to recycle.
Okay, and I'm going to clear our workstation a little bit.
Yeah, clean up your workstation. Here's a kite shaped like a bird that I made from a kit.
We did bring a fan and a leaf blower today, and we will see if we can get a few things. We will try to create some extra
Maybe
wind
at the end of the show
in the studio and see if we can just fly a few things today. All right, so here's my bag. Okay. We got bonus tape.
Yep, we got bonus tape. Okay, this is going to be very challenging, and there's a lot of measurements. So you might, that's why I gave you the website. So we're going to smooth out our bag as best you can. This is a kind of delicate kite, so you have to be careful with it. You know, if you puncture your plastic. So we're trying to smooth it out.
The trash bag itself seems fairly tough, though. Like, I'm not worried. Like, the tissue paper last night was tricky because we kept having to be careful not to pop holes in it.
Yeah.
So I think the bag is a relatively good choice because it's a little bit tough.
And some important considerations, of course, when you're building a kite is you want to try to keep your materials as light as possible. So you don't want to add extra tape or you know, if you made a small kite, you wouldn't want your spars, the supports, to be very heavy. So Miss Baker is going to follow my directions that I typed. But
okay, here we go.
We need a permanent marker that will show up on here for you. So you have a variety of colors to choose from. And we're going to, we can use the fold if you want.
I have a white bag. Would we like to switch over? So the marks will show? Let me grab it. Hold on.
But what we're going to do is we're going to add a bunch of dots to basically start drawing in our diamond kite.
I think we better switch so we can see our marks.
Okay.
And this is yet another recycled bag, by the way. Okay. Okay, and this one I think had dirt in it from the garden, so it's a little grubby.
So, and we'd want to get the dirt off before we try to fly it, or maybe just let the dirt blow off in the wind. All right, so here's what you're gonna do.
Okay.
You're gonna measure 8 centimeters down and draw a dot. If you want, I'll read and you draw.
Do we know the, let's see, is the bag for sure big enough? Because I just switched this to a smaller bag. Is the
Yeah.
overall size 31 centimeters?
Yes. And let's use this fold. So
Okay.
looking at this, there's a seam there.
Uh-huh.
So you wouldn't want that seam on your
got it.
bag.
Okay.
This is why Martha Stewart has a giant crew of interns.
Oh, got it. We have each other.
That's it. Okay, so you're gonna draw a dot 8 centimeters down.
Okay, right there. There's 8 centimeters. Now what else?
And then we're gonna go 22 centimeters over.
Oh, okay. And this is our perpendicular. Very exciting.
And you can just draw a dot.
Okay. Like this. And you know me and my diagrams and my dotted lines. Okay.
Okay, we're trying to minimize the weight.
Okay.
I don't know how much marker is gonna add.
I'm going to risk it.
Okay, and then you're gonna measure from here 1 centimeter down from your 8 centimeter mark and draw
right
a dot.
Okay, right there.
Okay, and then measure another 31 down. So you
31 from the second dot.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Right there. Okay,
All right.
like that.
And we're gonna
I
repeat
can't help it. I've never ever not labeled my work before. I have to label my work. Okay, now what are we doing?
Okay, now we're gonna repeat the pattern on the other side. Or
Oh,
if we
okay.
can see it through the white bag, no, we cannot.
Okay.
Okay, so
So we're going to make the same
8
marks
centimeters
twice.
down.
Okay. So there. You know what? If I go like this, I can just be sure I'm not goofing up.
You know what? We might have to go miss the seam. I think
Okay.
that seam might mess us up.
Okay, let's take a look here. Uh-oh. Okay, do you want to move everything down?
Yep.
Okay, so here, this is now our 8.
8.
This is
1.
our 9. This guy's no good.
If you want to do another 31 while you're there.
Down from the second mark.
Yep.
Okay, and I'm going to put an X on this so I don't look at it anymore. Okay, and then down 31. There. Okay.
And let's change it on our other side. Oh, and we got to go 22 out
From the 8.
The 8.
Okay. Here we go, 22 out from the 8. I'm trying to get it as perpendicular as possible. I'm kind of faking it right there. Did you say 22?
22.
Okay, 22 out from the 8. There we go.
All right.
All right.
So, should we fix the other side, or do you want to use these as our guides?
Let's use these as our guides.
All right.
Yeah.
So now what we have to do
And I think we need to go to there, right? Just to give us something to shoot for.
is we need to start, we can actually start kind of spreading this out, unless you want to start drawing your diamond shape.
Oh, yes, I would like to draw the diamond shape.
Okay. And if you want, choose a color, because you can obviously decorate your bag
Okay.
if you want, but you want to keep it light
Okay.
weight. And I
Okay.
can hold the ruler for you.
Yep. All righty, here we go. There's 1. And then am I going to the top?
Yep.
Okay. And 2. There. Okay, now what else am I drawing?
Well, if you wanted, we could draw it on the other side. Or if you're feeling brave,
Always.
we can start cutting
Yay, let's do
and
it.
using this side as our pattern.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to
And
hold?
I'm going to hold this down so that
Yeah.
the plastic doesn't shift.
This is kind of hard, and sharp scissors definitely help.
My household, we have one scissor hoarder who has all the scissors, not naming any names right now, child. And then everyone else has to walk around and find scissors. There's one pair always in the kitchen, and then we all have to run around and find all the other scissors. And sometimes we end up with pinking shears, which are those little spiky ones that I
Yeah.
got from my grandma.
And don't use your mom's sewing scissors for this.
No, or whoever's sewing scissors they are.
They would be, or hair cutting scissors. Those we need sharp.
Okay.
And that's a good way to get yourself in trouble.
I hide my hair cutting scissors so nobody can find them.
Okay, so we've got our dirt kite.
Oh, there's definitely dirt in the bag.
So here's our diamond shape. And you could see that this would be like a pretty, actually this is pretty tough.
Uh-huh. And now if we hold this up to the outline, it is different than the, can we go back to that other slide?
We sure can.
I think the proportions are a little, that one's exactly the same, but this one, you see if we hold it in there, that it does have different proportions than the one, and then if you go to the one that you made, That one is a perfect match. Look at that. So there's a beautiful lesson in similarity right there. Very exciting. Okay.
So here's our kite. And if you wanted to do kite experiments at home, you could play with the shape of your diamond. You know, you could play with the proportions and the scales.
I'm making mine a face.
Okay, and I was wondering, here's something that I was wondering. That could be an at-home experiment. Does marker add weight to the kite?
Too much weight?
Well, I don't know. That's a question.
Yeah. I don't think I added very much weight.
Some of the marker evaporates, but I wonder how much, what's the mass of marker left behind?
Oh yeah, good question.
You know what, that looks very cool.
Okay, there, we have a big ferocious, it needs big scary eyebrows.
Yeah, this would be a good war kite.
There we go.
To intimidate your enemy.
Yes, all right, so there. I entertained myself greatly. Yeah.
Okay. We did this, used sharp scissors and patience. We did pretty good.
Okay.
So now we have to start drawing the spars, and we're gonna draw the spars on a piece of paper. So, because probably a lot of the kite patterns that you see online, you need dowels, or some of them, if you have straws at home, you could wash the straws that you get.
And by spars, we mean the stiff ribs of the kite. So right here, there's like hard, it's like little, these are shish kebab skewers, but you need something as like ribs to hold the kite open. So if you look right here, you can see. So when we talk about spars, we're talking about that structure. We can't just fly this. It won't fly. It needs bones.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So this is like...
Okay, so now what am I gonna do?
Okay, I'm gonna hand you maybe a smaller ruler.
Okay.
So that, just so it's more maneuverable.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna draw your first rectangle.
Okay.
Do you want me to read them to you?
24 by 1.1, yes.
And I put all of these in centimeters because I have centimeter rulers, and I think centimeters are super easy to use.
Me too.
And I'm a science teacher, so, but if you were to go to this website, the designer of this kite has it in both.
Oh, that's
inches.
Nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
Okay.
So we're doing 24 by 1.1.
Okay, 24 right there. And then 1.1. Wow, 1 1/10, that's very specific, isn't it? There's 1.1 centimeters? Like that. Okay.
Yep, and then if you want, you could...
out 1.1, I'm gonna draw the whole thing.
Sounds great.
Okay, by the way, it could be that we start this on a Tuesday and finish it on a Thursday. 1.1 right there. All right, so we'll see how far we get today. And those of you who want to email in pictures of the kites that you make, oh my gosh, are we dying to feature those.
That would be amazing.
So should you happen to make kites, okay, there's that.
And there's tons and tons of amazing, beautiful kites online. Okay, and...
I'm adding extra weight with the ink. I can't not label my work.
I know.
Okay, what else?
That may be problematic.
We'll
find out.
Yeah.
This needs very light wind. You can fly this kite just by walking.
Oh, how exciting.
I know.
That's
so
awesome.
we can safely fly it in the studio, in theory, without tripping.
Wonderful.
Okay, so draw another rectangle, 16 centimeters by 1.1.
Can I just put it right next to it so it's one slice?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so 16 by 1.1. 1.1, 1.1.
And you could also think about what other kinds of materials you could make your sail out of. So the sail, so I brought some examples. I've always wanted to make a kite out of newspaper. Newspaper is really lightweight. It's easy to find.
Okay, now what do I do?
All right. So now you're going to draw another rectangle that is 22 centimeters long by 1.2 centimeters.
Oh my goodness. Okay, 22 by 1.2. Here we go. All right, 22 by 1.2.
Yep.
Okay, there's 22. And here's 1.2. I'm amazed at how specific this is.
Very specific. And if you were to visit this website, mybestkite.com, it's a kite maker who has all kinds of homemade kites.
Oh, very cool.
And seems like a pro.
Wonderful.
So other things you could try making your sails out of if you don't have plastic bags is you could try making sails out of like just regular tissue paper, like Beth did with her kite that she made last night, and newspaper. Like I thought this one would make a pretty beautiful kite. It's an advertisement from the American Museum of Natural History. Okay, you're not done with this one yet.
Okay.
On the left side of your rectangle, you're going to measure 0.9 centimeters down and just put a mark because we're going to try to build a diagonal on our...
So 0.9 here?
0.9, yep.
On the 22, on the 1.2. Okay, I don't think my measurements are very good.
That's not what I like to hear.
Okay, I thought there'd be a bigger gap. I thought
You know
my
what?
3 mil gap would be bigger. Okay,
We can...
there it is.
It'll work.
And do I measure on both ends?
On the right side, you're going to put a mark down that's 0.3.
Okay, because 1.2 and 9 is 0.3.
And if we were in normal school, I would have probably had one of my students help us out with this.
Right.
So we're going to use this to draw a diagonal between our 2 points.
Okay, I understand.
Which is,
there?
yep, I can hold it for you to help you.
Boop. I drew a really big line. Okay.
That is okay, we're going to cut that off.
Okay.
Okay, so the next part. So this is going to be our vertical. We're going to tape these two together to be the vertical support.
Okay.
And
And
then-
are they going to be strong enough?
You know what? We will find out.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. This next one is kind of complicated because we're basically trying to make a shape that's wide in the middle and comes down towards the ends.
Okay.
So I don't know how best to describe that shape.
Okay.
So we're gonna draw a line, and I think we should give ourselves some
Start
room.
somewhere new.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So you're gonna draw a line that's 8 centimeters.
Okay. Should I draw it in the middle of nowhere or off the edge? Do I want it like here?
It can be off the edge
Okay. Here we go.
because it will
And
have
so
a flat.
you will get to see this get finished on Thursday because our time is just about up for today. We might turn on the fan and fly something in a minute too. Okay, so that's 8 centimeters. Now what?
Okay, then you're gonna draw another line on the same plane that's 8 centimeters.
Okay.
So
I'm just going to go out.
You're gonna go out this way, but we need that dot.
We need this dot.
Yeah.
And do we need these two lines lined up with each other?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to back up and I'm going to go to 16 so that I know I've got the darn thing lined up.
Okay.
Alrighty.
And then maybe this is a good stopping place so
I
we can
think
try
it
to
is.
fight some,
Yeah.
fly
So
some
I think we're going
kites.
to take a break from this real quick and we're going to see. We're going to turn on the fan and we're going to see which kites we can get to go. All right? And then we
Which
will finish.
Should be fun for everybody.
Yeah. All right, we're going to start with the falcon and see if we can get the falcon to go. We might need the fan on high. All right, let's see if we can get it to go.
See if we can catch a little air here.
Yeah, I'm going to support it a little bit. I'm going to balance it on the column while you fly it. How's that? There we
We might
go.
need a little more wind.
Okay.
Okay,
Go.
bye everyone.
Bye.